The twin moons of Zalvanar hung low in the violet sky, casting an eerie glow over the jungle canopy. The only sound was the crackle of dying embers from a crash site smoldering in the clearing below. Beside the wreckage, cloaked in soot and blood, staggered a figure draped in regal silks, though they were now torn and barely clinging to her pale lavender skin. Princess Azalira of House Vor, a name once revered across 7 star systems, was now prey. She panted, clutching her side where a shard of hull plating had pierced her during the ambush. Her people had turned on her. Assassins from within her own royal guard had triggered the sabotage, seeking to purge the traitorous idealist, who spoke of ending the centuries-long conquest of lesser species. And now they hunted her through the jungles of Edoras, 5. Her limbs shook as she crawled into a dense thicket. She would die here, she knew. But better that than be dragged back in chains and paraded before her people as a lesson in what happened to those who challenged the empire. Then came a rustle in the underbrush. Not the thunderous gallop of Zalvan warbeasts. Not the sharp steps of armored boots. Slower, cautious step. Calculated. Human. Azalira gritted her teeth and readied a shard of metal like a dagger, though her hands trembled. Out from the foliage stepped a tall figure, clad in a dusty desert-brown jacket, a battered plasma rifle slung across his back. His expression flickered between surprise and caution when their eyes met. Human, yes, but not a soldier. He had the gait of a wanderer. Didn't expect to find anyone alive out here, he said. His accent rough but oddly gentle. Stay back, Azalira warned, the shard quivering in her hand. I'm not with the others, he said calmly, holding his hands up. Name's Nox. Just a salvager passing through. Saw the explosion on my scanner. Azalira narrowed her eyes. They'll kill you if they think you helped me. Nox glanced toward the jungle. Yeah, well, I've been hunted before. Part 1. The Jungle Pact. Nox patched her wound using Medigel from his pack, and though Azalira flinched from his touch, she allowed it. Trust came slowly. She had been raised to believe humans were unpredictable brutes. Clever, yes, but ultimately selfish. Yet this man had risked exposing himself just by helping her. As night fell and the forest echoed with distant howls, Nox built a fire in a cave tucked behind a waterfall. He didn't ask her for her name or her story, though she knew he had already guessed who she was. When she awoke to the scent of cooked root meat and the crackle of the fire, Nox was still there, scanning the treetops with that ever-watchful expression. They're coming, aren't they? She asked, her voice hoarse. He nodded. 3 dropships landed less than 50 clicks south, moving in triangular patterns. Classic hunting formation. You should leave. He poked at the fire. If I did that, I'd never forgive myself. And I think you're important. Azalira blinked. I am. Or I was. Nox shrugged. Then that's a good reason to stay. People like you, people who try to change things, don't get a lot of second chances. She stared at him for a long moment. Why are you like this? Nox cracked a half-smile. Bad upbringing. Worse company. Good heart. Part 2. The Hunt. For the next 2 days they moved through the jungle. Azalira's wounds began to heal, and she found herself depending more on Nox, not just for survival, but for strength. He taught her how to spot energy traps, how to mask her heat signature, how to read the wind and scent predators. But the hunters closed in. On the 3rd night they barely escaped a drone sweep. Nox took out 2 aerial scouts with his rifle and rigged a false trail of heat sources to divert a ground team. Azalira watched him, confused by the human's skill. He moved like a man who had lived through wars. You were a soldier once, she said, as they huddled beneath camouflaged leaves. He didn't answer at first. Then, used to work for the Terran Border Corps. Until I saw too many kids caught in the crossfire. Azalira hesitated, then reached out, touching his shoulder. I never thought I'd feel safer near a human. Nox looked at her, expression unreadable. And I never thought I'd be protecting an alien princess. She smiled faintly. Part 3: Truth and Blood. On the 6th day, the hunters found them. A plasma blast tore through their shelter just before dawn. Nox dragged Azalira through the dirt as laser fire scorched overhead. They scrambled across a rope bridge above a chasm, but one of the Vor guards leapt after them. Nox turned mid-run, firing a shot that blasted the alien's weapon arm clean off. The guard collapsed, screaming. They didn't stop until they reached an old survey station, long abandoned by miners. Nox hotwired the comms panel and tapped into the orbital network. We've got maybe a day before they triangulate this place. Azalira watched him, heart pounding. What are you doing? Sending a distress signal. Someone's gotta know what's happening down here. You think anyone will care? She asked bitterly. He looked at her. I do. As he worked, Azalira wandered into the adjacent room. She found an old mirror, cracked and dust-covered. She barely recognized herself, mud-streaked, fierce, eyes brighter than ever. The thought struck her. She wasn't just surviving. She was changing. Part 4: Stand or Fall. That night, Nox gave her a weapon. It's not much. Low charge. But you might need it. I'm not a fighter. Everyone becomes one eventually. At dawn, the final assault came. Dropships descended, sending squads of Vor shock troopers into the clearing. Nox and Azalira took cover inside the station. Blast of fire turned the walls to molten slag. The roof buckled. Then a voice rang out from the treeline. Princess Azalira, said General Karzul, commander of the Vor Ascendancy. Your life ends here. No more speeches. No more rebellion. Nox glanced at her. Your call. Azalira stood slowly, face set. Patch me into their channel. Nox handed her the comms mic. This is Princess Azalira, she said clearly. You who claim to serve honor have become cowards. You betray our ancestors' vision. You hunt me because I refuse to let our empire be built on bones. There was silence on the line. I will not run anymore, she declared. But I will not surrender. I have seen another path, one forged not with fear, but with alliance. Nox stepped beside her, rifle raised. Outside, the line of troopers hesitated. Then came the roar of engines. A Terran scout frigate burst through the clouds, summoned by Nox's signal. It unleashed a barrage that sent the Vor scrambling for cover. The battle was short but brutal. Nox took a hit to the side. Nothing fatal, but enough to drop him. Azalira knelt beside him, shielding him with her body as the remaining Vor fled back to their dropships. Stay with me, she whispered. Not going anywhere, Nox grunted, bloodied but alive. Epilogue: A New Dawn. Weeks later, aboard a neutral station in orbit, Azalira stood before a joint council of human and Zalvan delegates. The footage from Edoras 5, her speech, the betrayal, Nox's defense, had gone viral across the quadrant. With the Empire fractured and House Vor discredited, change was in motion. She was no longer just a fugitive. She was a symbol. And beside her, in a clean uniform and limping slightly, stood Nox. The council chamber quieted as she stepped forward.